I'm sure by now you've seen MSNOW. Yeah, MSNBC is leaving Comcast. They're rebranding to MSNOW, and they're getting absolutely roasted for it. Yesterday, Donald Trump did some really great stuff. The past several days, he's done some really great stuff. He met with Putin. He met with Zelensky. Zelensky actually wore a suit. And, this past week, I've been sicker than I've been in probably 10 or 20 years. It's miserably bad. You can still hear it a little bit. So I'm only back a little bit. I'm going to take it easy. The noon live will still be hosted by Tate for the time being to see if I can try and survive and get good enough for the for IRL tonight, but probably not smart to try and push it super hard. But I'll tell you this. We'll just go straight into it. I'm sitting here over the past week. I watched every horror movie imaginable. I watched the news all day, and I got to tell you, it's all fake. It's all miserably awful. I'm sick of literally all of it. And, compounded by the excruciating pain that was my throat, I'm so over all of the fake everything. And the one thing that I can't get out of my mind is that what we're witnessing is the shoreline receding of population collapse. And that's why we're getting stuff like MSNOW. That's why everything Zelensky did yesterday was wrong, and everything Trump did was wrong, and everything Trump did is Putin's victory. My point is, and I'm largely ragging on MSNBC for the most part, but, Trump meets with Vladimir Putin in Alaska to negotiate an end to this war in Ukraine. Fantastic. We shouldn't be involved in it. And what I end up seeing is across the board from all the liberals and all the left is that Trump is screwing up. He's destroying everything. Putin's won, blah, blah, blah. And I've never wanted to more mercilessly beat someone at that point. But it's a joke, by the way. I would say, considering the pain and how sick I was just ready to snap. But I go on X and I'm following the news throughout the past week as I'm off. Frustrated that I can't work with so much to say, as you know I do have. Always have something to say. And I saw people attacking Zelensky because his suit wasn't good enough. And I'm just like, make it stop. Oh, I've never want to just smash the table and flip everything over. Shut up. Shut up already. Holy crap. Dude, Putin and Zelensky met with Trump. They're going to stop the war. The war should stop. I want to stop spending money on it. Trump's getting NATO to pay the bill, to buy the weapons from us so they can fund this war. The war should be over. War is bad. And it's just the stupidest thing in the world, okay? When Zelensky wore a T-shirt the first time, it was a combination of factors. He was insulting Donald Trump. They were arguing in the Oval Office. I was like, what is this guy thinking? This is disgusting. This time, he was deferential. He wore a suit. He didn't wear a tie, but he wore a suit. In fact, Trump praised him for it. So I'm sitting here watching the whole thing live, and Trump's like, look at him. He looks great. I love it. And I was like, let's go. I go on Twitter. What do I see? All these pro-Trump people, like, how could Zelensky disrespect Trump by that way? I'm like, shut up, dude. Listen, I want Zelensky to come negotiate peace and for there to be an amicable end to this war. End. Now, this is what really just irks me about all of it. No matter what Trump does, he's wrong. It's been this way for a decade. I'm ready to just punch a hole through the monitor. These people are fake. They are psychotic, fake people. Now it's with Zelensky. Like, guys, y'all know I love Ukraine's fantastic. I love Ukraine. I have friends from Ukraine. But it's not our war. It's not our problem. And Zelensky, I think, is a bad person. I think he's a bad person. I think he's done a lot of really bad things. Now, I can respect the dude's faced an invasion from Russia. But this manipulation and the lies to pressure the United States into giving up our money for him, I ain't playing that game. So now, MSNBC is MSNOW. Garbage in, garbage out, whatever. My favorite thing I saw was that they said it means my source, no one watching. MS, no one watching, or no one watches. That's fantastic. But let's talk about what this is, okay? Let's just dive right into it. I'm gonna play this clip for you guys. I think I might only get one morning segment, and you can hear it. I can't keep pushing it. I'm destroying myself.
The people protesting against Trump for him botching the situation with Ukraine and Russia, those people outside the White House today are in crowded company. If you look at the latest approval ratings, the latest polling, national polling on this issue, the latest Pew poll that's just out asked this question, for example, quote, how confident are you that Donald Trump can handle the war between Ukraine and Russia? Americans say they are not confident in Trump's ability to handle the Ukraine-Russia war. Americans are not confident in Trump's ability to handle that matter by an 18-point margin. He is 18 points underwater on his handling of Russia.
I just can't with these people. Is Rachel Maddow's sole existence to just try and burn this country down? I guess so. That's it. No matter what Trump does, he's bad. No matter what Trump does, it's wrong. He can never do anything good. Let's be bipartisan on this one. Eric Doherty. Stunning new poll finds President Trump's approval rating at a whopping plus 10 per Insider Advantage. The media is in shambles. The attacks didn't work again. 2,000 retweets. Holy smokes, plus 10. That's awesome, says Sean Farash. I think we've had both these guys on the show. It's hard to keep track. We had 1,300 episodes, you know. If this shows 54%, I'm willing to bet it's closer to 60. And one person calling it out. How much did you pay for the rating? Who'd they poll? Trump's approval is fantastic. Guys, it's hard. Here's Newsweek. Donald Trump's approval rating goes underwater on every issue. Here's Reuters. Trump approval, Trump approval holds at 40%, the lowest level of his term. Here's Independent. Trump sees bump in approval rating after meeting with Russia's Putin. Hey, that's not bad. That's not bad. And here we go. Here's Trump's aggregate approval rating from RCP. We can see that the Insider Advantage poll is an outlier. We call that static. We don't use that. That's 10 plus when everything is trending in other directions makes no sense. So we typically just say that's probably static. I wouldn't use that as a lead. Hence, I didn't. I'm not going to make a video where I'm like Trump's approval rating at all-time high or whatever, because it's a single poll. What we try to track is the aggregate, but every poll is psychotic and nothing makes sense. So you can see here Pew Research minus 22 from the 4th to the 10th. It's miserably bad. You can see that he's maintained among all these other polls, minus 9, minus 4, etc. So let's do this. Here's what I like to do. Insider Advantage. I want to see the shift. So let's go down to all the polls and take a look at the previous Insider Advantage. And so we can see the last one was the 15th to the 17th with a spread of plus 10. Let's scroll down till we can find, here we go, Trafalgar Insider Advantage had him at plus 2. So it looks like, a big boost. And they have had him positive, which is interesting. The only thing is, you try and look at the movement per poll based on their methodology. Guys, I'm going to tell you this. The only thing that I keep coming to as I'm reading all these stories, as I'm looking at the upside down, the backwards, the everything is right, the everything is wrong, Trump's never done anything wrong. I will say this, I do think the right tends to be more reasonable on these issues. The left is just the left. They do what they do. And, but I do just come down to, in the end, the politics doesn't scare me. Political violence, all this stuff doesn't scare me. The troops in D.C., none of this, all this, whatever's going on, I don't care. What really has me worried is population collapse. And that is, I tweeted about it. I was going to save this for later, but I clearly cannot keep doing segments, so I'll just try and get this one banger out and see if I can find where this tweet is. Is this one it? I don't know. I don't have it pulled up. I thought I had pulled up. I got a bunch of things pulled up. I tweeted the other day, population isn't collapsing. It has collapsed. The shoreline is receding right now, and nobody knows the tsunami is coming. They don't understand what's about to hit. And so there was a great, you know what I want to do? I'm going to pull it up because there was a great AI-generated response that actually elaborated on my point and hit the nail on the head with the hammer. And so instead of trying to pull up 500 articles, I'll just pull up the one AI-generated tweet and then read that. So, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Elon Musk retweeted me. Shout out, Elon. Elon said he's been talking about this for some time now, and he's been warning about it. It's probably why the dude has 14 kids. But so I tweeted, the population isn't collapsing, it has collapsed. The shoreline is receding and no one understands the tsunami about to hit us. As U.S. population goes, it will be impossible to redevelop. Automation won't replace your customers. And here we go. This is clearly AI generated, but they kind of hit the nail on the head with the point I'm making. They say, has the population collapsed? Numerically, no. The population is 335 million today, still growing very slowly. It hasn't shrunk in absolute terms yet. Full stop. I think this is fake. I think it's fake. I think that census fraud has been ongoing for a long time. We talk about Democrats bringing in illegal immigrants for the purpose of boosting their congressional seats. You don't actually need to do that. You can just lie on the census forms. So they might just be like, if there's 4 people there, maybe it's 5. You know what I mean? And then when they report the census, they say we have, 39 million people when it's actually 35. And so that gives them an extra couple seats. They don't need the illegal immigrants to do that. So I actually think it may be that these numbers are fake and population is smaller than it really is. But what do I know? Maybe it's right. They're going to say structurally, yes, fertility rates have collapsed below replacement. It's actually much lower than 1.6. The issue with the birth rate is that it's including older generations and younger generations. When you track for just the younger generations, so Gen Z should be having kids now, they are not. And it's like, I've seen wild estimates from like 1 to 0.6. Let me see if I can actually pull up fertility for, let's do this. What is the fertility rate of Gen Z? Maybe we can get a number, maybe we can't. Let's see. Gen Z, blah, blah, blah. It's not telling me. Blah, blah, blah. Record low. Oh, my God. Whoa. They say 13 per 1,000. Wow. So that means the lowest ever recorded. The lowest ever recorded. That's what it says. 13. In the 50s, I believe it was like 37 per 1,000. 37 babies. So here's what they say. Every advanced economy is on the same trajectory. Immigration has masked it for decades, but the base collapse, immigration won't do anything about this. Demographic time bomb. The share of older dependents is exploding, while the base of young productive workers is shrinking. It is already fracturing Social Security, healthcare, and housing markets. They say the deeper truth, what Tim Pool is sensing but not articulating. Hey, robot, hey, come on. I made it short and sweet. I do these longer videos for this. Population collapse isn't about headcount, it's about momentum. Once fertility craters for multiple generations, the system becomes irreversible. Even if you double fertility tomorrow, it'll take 20 plus years before those children enter the workforce. By then, the imbalance between old and young bankrupts the system. This is what people don't understand about economies of scale and economics, and it's hard to explain. I've explained this in videos before, but maybe we'll make this one a little bit longer because I'm probably only going to get this one video done today, and I don't want to overdo it. If you've got one shoe store, and they sell shoes to everybody. That guy makes a living. He has a family. They're happy. People come to him for their shoes. One day, there's a big population boom. 100 people move in because they've discovered oil or something. Bunch of jobs. Well, this village now requires 2 more cobblers. Cobblers, they make shoes. I think that's what cobbler means. And so now, you've got 3 shoe stores, and they're all doing their thing. They have families, they're happy. Well, oil dries up, those 100 people move out, population recedes. What happens? Does it go back to one shoe store? It does not. All the shoe stores go out of business. There's no more shoes. The reason is, when you have one business, it's thriving, everybody knows where to go, a new business opens, it struggles, doesn't get the customer base, collapses. Sometimes there's a bad business and a new one opens and they struggle and fight and then one wins. That's possible too. In this regard, what happens is with the collapse of the population back down to its original levels, each store sees the same reduction in sales. Now, each cobbler is saying, I am not breaking even. Each one of them is underwater. Now, if 2 of them went out of business, the one might survive. The problem is they're all getting hit with debt at the exact same time. They are accruing debt and they're moving towards bankruptcy at the exact same time. No one wants to shut their business down and go under. This is how they make money. So like Blockbuster and Netflix, they say we have to weather the storm, and they all struggle until they accrue so much debt, they collapse. One goes under, but the other two is still saddled with debt. It can't recover. One goes under, there's one left, and now their debt and interest is greater than the money they can be making, and they go under as well. That is economic collapse, despite the fact, you might be saying, but wait, hold on, it went back to normal. The one shop should survive. No, that's not how it works. So what's going to happen now? Let's read a little bit more. Capitalism needs young buyers, not just old savers. Automation can replace workers, but it can't replace customers. That's what I said. Automation might make the burger, but who's making the burger for? This means that these burger shops are going to go out of business. This means that there is going to be an economic collapse. Like I just explained with the shoe stores. One burger stand might survive on its own initially, but when it grows to 10 and the customer base evaporates, no amount of automation is going to bring back those sales. The argument is the automation reduces the costs. And then if the costs are down, you don't need as many customers. That isn't necessarily true. There is still going to be that may alleviate some tensions, but there is still going to be a required base level of customers that when population collapses, robots don't buy cheeseburgers. So, like the cobbler story I told you, the burger shops are all gone. Now you're in a food desert. Grocery stores, everything. You take a look at some of these areas in San Fran where they shut down these box stores, these pharmacies, because of the theft. They're not coming back. But there's more. They say a shrinking, aging population means less military-age manpower, less risk-taking, more conservatism. It hollows out empire status. Markets, equity valuations don't implicitly build on perpetual growth. When populations contract, those assumptions break. They say reflexivity. My belief in the American growth engine is part of U.S. dollar's reserve status. If demographics undermine that belief, global capital flows fracture. The verdict. The U.S. won't shrink tomorrow, but within 20 to 30 years, without massive immigration and radical biotech fertility breakthroughs, America faces the same demographic death spiral as Japan, with a collapsing empire later on top. Immigration will not solve the problem. It won't do it. One of the big responses I got, all these people, it seems that immigration would be a great solution to all of this. We are so cooked. We are so cooked, bro. Political scientist, but hilariously never Googled economics. The average age of a NASA scientist today, there's like a viral meme a few years ago, was 42. During the moon landing, it was 24. Interview with the vampire? Interview with the vampire. That was the movie, right? Everyone always gets the name wrong. Interview with the Vampire. What a great movie. In this movie, Brad Pitt's character says, I was 24 and the master of my own plantation, but times were different. I was a man at that age. You're still a man at that age now. And this is only not different based on the past 20 or 30 years. It's remarkable. This tweet I put out, it got 11.5 million views. I'm sick and laying in bed, and that's the biggest thing I've done in the past week or so. You can hear it. I'm struggling, huh? Listen, you can't replace petroleum engineers with migrant farmers. They say, but they're going to do the jobs Americans don't want. That doesn't mean anything. It makes no sense. Over the past decade, 20 years, the powers that be in this country have been trying to replace the collapsing workforce from the highest skill, entrepreneurs, to the medium skill, to the lowest skill, with migrant farmers, with random people. It doesn't work. Part of the DEI push has to do with this. Part of the mass illegal immigration has to do with this. But it's a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. It doesn't work. In fact, it's sabotage. Influxing this country with 20 million illegal immigrants, giving them de facto worker status or whatever they were doing, will just contribute to the destruction and the end of our nation and our society. So let me put it like this. If you have a nation of dreamers that want to go to the moon, you get a moon landing. Explorers explore, colonizers colonize. Depending on the culture that you develop and the things that you deeply care about, what's in, what's trendy, will drive your culture. Is gold valuable? You'll go look for gold. Are daisies valuable? You'll go look for daisies or tulips. And people will do sometimes very dumb things. In South Africa, they got a lot of babies. They also have a lot of baby rape because the people there, not all of them, but a lot of them, believe that AIDS is a curse. It's magic. I'm not joking. And they believe that the curse must be lifted from you and transferred to someone else. So they rape babies. They take needles and stab themselves with a needle, walk into crowded tourist areas and prick people with the needle to give them AIDS, HIV. They believe that they're taking the curse from them and giving it to you. If you have a culture that believes that, you will get a culture of baby rape. Importing people from those cultures will just bring baby rape to the United States. I am not saying all brown people or all migrants are baby rapists. I am saying there is a culture in South Africa that believes that. It's an extreme example I'm using intentionally to make the point. If you take a group of people who believe in that and bring them here, that's what you get. Sweden saw this with Afghan refugees. They began raping young boys. I am not saying all refugees and migrants will rape people or do anything like that. I'm using extreme examples. The light example is, if you bring in a culture of people who don't value free speech, who are migrant farmers, good, honest people, but they just want to farm, you will get a nation of farmers. Your economy will favor farming. The United States is not an agrarian society. We are an information and an attention society. We maintain the world reserve currency through military power. If we lose the core structure of the American body politic through our people that share common beliefs, that structure will collapse. Importing the third world will not reverse this trend. You know what? Let's make it as simple as possible. If you've got 100 blue squares and 100 red squares, and you think the blue squares are good, and that's the United States, and the red squares are fine, they're fine. I got no beef with the red squares. You cannot and will not grow the blue squares by forcing the red into it. It will turn purple. You will not have a society that grows in the same direction. It will grow in a different direction or potentially get wiped out. Now, for these leftists and liberals, they make the argument, immigrants will solve all the problems. Well, immigrants will bring people here, but it won't change the fact that American identity, American society, American technological values, American moral beliefs will be destroyed with it. And that's what we're really talking about with economies. So let me put it like this. Let me bring it all together so y'all can, most of you probably understand, but I'll say it like this. Do you like hot tubs? You like hot tubs? They're great, right? Okay. Migrant farmers don't care about hot tubs. So if you replace your skilled labor with migrant farmers, you will then walk around and say, guys, I really just need a hot tub. And they're going to say, we don't do that. We don't care about that. And so no hot tub. Don't get me wrong. Everybody likes a hot tub, right? But I mean this sincerely. People from Honduras are going to be less concerned about building and repairing hot tubs and being a hot tub technician than they're going to be a farmer. So as population collapses, computers will become substantially more expensive. Cars will become substantially more expensive. My prediction is if nothing changes, because things are going to change. And I'm saying right now, if you jumped into the future like it was a movie, based off everything we're seeing today, in 20 years, there's not going to be a movie industry, a music industry. To be fair, it'll all be replaced by AI. And that's what we can expect, I suppose. If you want these luxury products, it will be reserved for only the ultra wealthy. I told my wife the other day, if for whatever house we end up moving to, or however, like whatever, modify or build or whatever, like we just need to have it be self-sufficient, built for maximum self-sufficiency. Because there was a video I saw where it was a fast food restaurant, and one of their grills, it was like a food toaster thing, was on fire, and they were just staring at it. And this young woman, I think, takes the back of a broom, the plastic handle, and wiggles it next to the fire. And people are going, what are you doing? And she's like, I don't know. It's like, yo, we're cooked. I look at everything going on as I'm sitting here this past week, unable to do anything and talk about the minutia of politics. And I'm just like, everybody is screaming at the wall. It doesn't matter if Zelensky wore a suit or not, okay? Initially, the first time, I'm going to say this again, he didn't wear a suit, and he argued, he bickered with Trump. It was very disrespectful, and it wasn't going to solve the war. So when he shows up wearing a suit, it's a weird avant-garde style, whatever. It's whatever. He wore a suit. He's trying to look cool. But he gave Trump respect, and there was a real effort towards ending the war. That is my motivation and what I see. The no-suit disrespect for Trump last time was making it worse, was not going to end the war. Today, he wore a suit, he was respectful, and they had a meeting, and we are closer to ending the war. I give respect to that. Donald Trump brought Putin here, had a meeting with him. I don't care what the left is saying. Oh, okay. It's all psychotic. I see that, and I ask myself, why is this happening? What is going on? And the only conclusion I can make is, well, everyone's desperate for clicks. I mean, especially right now, views are collapsing across the board. I think they're fake. I think the total view count on everything is fake. I was looking at my Instagram shorts, and I was looking at how many views I got, how many comments I got, how many shares I got. And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. I got 50,000 views and like 1,000 shares. Then I look at these other prominent creators and political personalities, conservatives too, and it's like 600,000 views, but the same shares, likes, and comments that I get. And I'm like, it's all fake. Everybody is trying to make it appear like they're bigger than everybody else. And I was thinking to myself, like, am I the only one who doesn't do that? Like, probably, I guess. No, I'm probably not the only one, but I think it's all fake. And I wonder if when the USAID dollars go, finally, because there's still remnants, the money is still in these NGOs, but it's drying up. Like, the water is there, but the rain has stopped. I wonder if we're going to truly get a real picture of the viewership people actually get. As more and more people produce content, as AI begins to take over, our culture is fracturing exponentially. Our population is on the verge of what's called the mortality cliff. That is when boomers and silent generation will die at an accelerated rate because the mortality is about 79 years old. That means around between 75 and 80, you'll see a rapid die-off of the boomer generation, which is now, actually. This means population will start collapsing, and Gen Alpha is only 40 million. That means that even if Gen Alpha met replacement rates, the next generation would only be 40 million, so we are not going to recover. You combine this with AI, you combine this with content decentralization, and culture is eradicated. And when culture is eradicated, you don't have an economy. So there's another video I want to do a video on, but I think I'm done after this. I know I could have done 3 30 minutes instead of, 3 10 minutes instead of 1 30 minute. But you get it in one go. When I look at all of this, I see there's a video going viral of a woman. She's an EBT influencer. She uses welfare to get the best deals, and she's eating ho-hos, ding-dongs, cupcakes, and other garbage. That's culture. It is. You might think it's degenerate and disgusting, but it is. And as with this decentralization, and now what we see with Instagram and TikTok is no one's following people anymore. Follower count doesn't matter anymore. The algorithm just posts whatever gets the most views, and that's random psychobabble garbage. We are Elsa-gating ourselves to death. There's not going to be a unified culture saying, let's go to the moon. There's not going to be a unified culture saying, let's run faster than each other. It's all shattering. And as it does, it becomes harder and harder to maintain these economies. Skateboarding, for instance, let's use rollerblading for a good example. Rollerblades, like aggressive inline, like people who actually grind and stuff and jump in the air and do flips, it's very expensive because so few people do it. Take time to look into that and you'll understand. Rollerblades used to be cheap. Now they're expensive. As fewer and fewer people do it, the market collapses. It becomes harder to make molds. So now what you have in the rollerblading industry if you can even call it that, is that most of the molds, there's like this, the mold is like the plastic shape. It's so expensive to do and no one can afford it. They all just use very similar molds at this point. There's very few. That's what will happen across the board to all technology and all culture. They're going to say, guys, we can't do touchscreens anymore. It's just too expensive and not enough people buy them. That's where we're headed. When culture fragments and there's no unified effort, this is economics. But people don't get it. So again, the point ultimately is I look at everything. I look at all this stuff. I look at Trump, MSNOW. Rachel Maddow is going to say Trump is wrong no matter what because she's trying to latch onto a small community, what's left. And these are people who genuinely believe that and don't want to go anywhere else. But they won't be able to pay the salary of Rachel Maddow and the other MSNOW hosts. So they're doomed to collapse. I think the same is true for Timcast IRL. This show, however, what I do, the morning show costs me just my time and energy. Granted, when I'm sick, I can't really do it, obviously. But the other issue is AI. I will not be able to compete with any of this AI video, and it's already destroying us. So I'll say this. To all the YouTube creators out there, I've been asked by a lot of people this past month, like, Tim, what's going on with viewer count and revenue? Like, everything's collapsing. I'm like, guys, it is easier than ever and exponentially easier than ever to make AI-generated content. With this rapid expansion, random run-of-the-mill people are making feature-length videos, essays, documentaries. I watched a video on YouTube. It was a expose on these gambler influencers because it's all fake. People go to casinos. They're given money to play with. They gamble it and then win or lose and go, wow, look at me. I bet 10 grand on blackjack and won. Turn the camera off. The dealer takes the chips back, puts it back in the tray. There was never actually any game played. Not all of them do this, but a lot of it's fake. The expose I saw was completely AI generated. It looked like they took a bunch of videos. It actually looked like they went to an AI and said, write a script about why this is a scam and pull videos from this YouTube channel. And it did. I can't compete with that, guys. And you know it. If I spend 16 hours a day, and here's what happened with me getting sick, right? So we did the Culture War show. I got sick. I missed the next 2 days of work. Instead of saying I'm going to take the week off to recover, I said I'm feeling good enough to work. I'm going to pop some ibuprofen to to reduce inflammation, and then I'm going to work. And then by the weekend, I was losing my voice and I was getting sicker. Then I missed, I think, 3 days or another 2 days of work. And I was like, okay, well, I'm feeling a bit better. I'm going to pop some more ibuprofen and I'm going to work again. And I think I missed 2. And that Wednesday, I produced a bunch of segments to make up for the work loss. And we filmed a hot wings challenge. Then the weekend came and I popped more ibuprofen to be able to talk. And come Monday and Tuesday, I was working. But by Tuesday night, as the show was ending, my throat was swelling up. And at 4 a.m, I woke up with my throat so swollen that I was struggling to breathe and went to the hospital. And the doc was basically like, it's because you won't stop working. I can't do that. I can't compete with this AI anymore. So I'm going to wrap it up there because this has been a half an hour. But this is what you get from me from the day. Hopefully I'll feel better in time for IRL. But this is where we're at, my friends. I'm going to leave it there because I recorded this and I went long and I got to upload it right now for you guys to watch. So follow me on X and Instagram. I got a new YouTube channel coming up. YouTube gave me @TimPool. So go to youtube.com/@TimPool. You can subscribe to that new channel. I'm going to have content coming up as soon as I can talk again. Hopefully tomorrow I'm good. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see y'all hopefully tonight